Hi everyone, I'm Paige Abbott and this is your weekly recovery message. Last week I talked about a more specific manifestation of addiction, which was addiction involving food, and I wanted to do the same thing this week with addiction involving work. I would say addiction involving work often comes as a surprise to people that this is even a thing. Because I do find, and I think many others find as well, that in especially North American society, and especially where I'm located, which is in Calgary, Alberta, kind of the heart of oil and gas country, work is highly valued and highly promoted. To the extent that if people are working, there's this minimization of health issues. What I mean by that is this is what leads to, I think, the misinformed term of a high functioning alcoholic or a high functioning person with addiction, meaning that if people are able to secure employment and keep working, somehow it gives the illusion that they're okay, that they're healthy, and that the problems they're experiencing may be quite minimal and quite mild. It's only when we start to see people laid off from jobs or unable to hold consistent employment that even healthcare professionals start to really pay attention. Unfortunately, by the time that's happening, people are likely at the severe end of the addiction spectrum. Even while they're still working, likely people are at the mild end of the spectrum. However, they may be in the moderate or even the severe end of the spectrum. Certain workplaces can be quite dysfunctional and quite toxic to the extent that these severe issues go unnoticed, potentially because all other people or many other people in the organization are also at the severe end of the spectrum. So people coming into work hungover or intoxicated or under the influence of some substance, or having sort of full-blown work gatherings where alcohol or drugs or other substances are present after work become the norm. And so the person struggling with addictions issues become kind of hidden and almost mainstream. Now, of course, from our perspective and my perspective, this doesn't mean that there aren't any issues. It's just that they're being covered up in the environment and the situation that the person finds themselves in. Even people who are at the more mild end of the spectrum with addiction may be working for seeking escape, relief. Work may serve as a distraction from a lot of other things that are happening within them and also externally to them. So with addiction involving work, just as with addiction involving anything else, you need to look at the motivation. Obviously, most of us do need some kind of work in our lives to financially support ourselves and create some stability. And I'm certainly not saying that we don't need to work or that if we're working, we're not healthy. But if you do have addiction, or if you're concerned that you may have addiction, then you may also need to address your relationship with work. And what you may find is your relationship with work may change in the sense that your working style may shift. You may find yourself working less hours or just being a little bit more reasonable with the amount of effort and perfection that you put into your work. So there's lots of things to look at in the realm of work. I would say it's a very common symptom of addiction, but it is one that often goes unlooked at or undiagnosed. So if you are currently in recovery for addiction, I would encourage you to look at, with your recovery supports and through internal reflection, your relationship with work and explore what's the motivation for not just working, but the specific things that you find yourself doing in a day. Are you looking for approval? Are you pushing yourself too hard to make sure that you're not seeking disapproval? Are you a perfectionist? Are you going over and above what your actual job description entails? Are you using work for distraction? Are you using work to avoid going home to relationships where there may be issues? Are you using work to cover up feelings that you're carrying? Or are you using work for another purpose related to seeking escape, reward, or relief? These are all important things to look at, and I always encourage people to leave no stone unturned when it comes to their recovery, because with this disease, you can't take anything for granted, and that includes your relationship with work. That's all for me. I wish you the best in your ongoing journey of recovery for the week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.